Hey, I'm Tsea, and 6 months ago I posted my very first long-form video to this channel. Since then I have accumulated 2,557 views, 81 subscribers, and I've made 4 games, which is mental! Now, this video was going to be a Q&A video, but due to the only question being asked was, how far can you throw a brick with video evidence? Stick to the end of that. I decided that because I am a game developer, I might as well work on a game. So here we go, Super Noughts and Crosses Part 2. I hope you enjoy. My first step was evaluating what I had already made and making that experience better before working on anything new. So the first thing I did was add some scene transitions with one of my favourite Unity assets, Easy Transitions. This is a small thing, but it really makes the game feel more responsive and smooth, and less jumpy. And speaking of responsiveness, the next thing I wanted to do was test adding sound effects. Now this is my first time ever working with sound in Unity, or even making sound effects, so it was a big step up. The first sound effect I needed to create was a place sound for when you placed down a tile. And so I started by hitting my hands together in different places to make higher and lower pitched noises. And after that I selected my favourite two and layered them on top of each other to make this sound, which I really like. Next was implementing it into Unity. I started, as we all must, by watching a nice Bracky tutorial which really showed me how to get the basic sound playing. And after that it was only a matter of putting the sound effect in the game, bish bash bosh, and ta-da! A nice sound effect. The next thing I decided to work on was the itch.io page, which is where you can go and play the game after the video, if you want to. When I originally made the page it was very rushed and thrown together last minute, and it looked pretty bad, so I decided to start by making it look less like Discord light mode by turning the colours to some more brand appropriate colours. Mainly, I changed the background to my favourite shade of blue, #131C29, which I have managed to put in almost all of my thumbnails, videos and games so far. The other two things I did to the page was change the colour of the centre column a bit, and add this icon so the game stands out a bit more when you're scrolling on itch. And the last thing I wanted to do with polishing up the game was making the most frequent act in the game more satisfying. I'd already started this by adding a sound effect, but I wanted to add in some particles and maybe a little animation to give it that extra oomph, and this is how that turned out. As you can see, I didn't add in the particles because I have no idea how Unity's particle system works, but I think the animation really gives it that extra slap. Seeing as I was on a roll at this point making stuff better, I decided to fix a few minor problems with the actual gameplay. The first problem is, when you want a grid space, you'd still be able to play in that grid, which of course you're not meant to be able to do. I thought the way I would fix this is just by making the large winning square larger, but of course this didn't work. So in the end I had to disable all of the place locations under the large square, which took a while, but now it works. The next thing I decided to work on was the windscreen. This was another thing that was kind of thrown together at the last minute, and it looked rather bad. I had many ideas on what to do with this, but I wanted to keep this panel in the centre of the screen and have these two distinct buttons. So after a bunch of testing and helpful suggestions from a bunch of friends in a Discord server that I'm in, we arrived at this, which I'm really happy with. Along with updating the windscreen, I also wanted to update the main menu. My inspiration for the original design was inspired by Portal 2's main menu, and whilst this still holds, I felt like there were a few things I could do to make it better. The first thing was making the grid on the right of the screen move. The next was updating these buttons. For this, I decided to try and learn how Unity handles animated buttons. This was fairly intuitive, and after a short while I had this highlighted animation working. And the final thing I did was change all of the font in the game to Roboto Bold. Now you may be asking, Tsea, why did you need to change all the font? Well dear viewer, it's because Bracky said so. Anyway, the final thing I added to the game was this restart button, so if you reach a stalemate in the game, you can quickly restart. And with all those changes done, that was the game overhaul complete. But wait, the video isn't over yet. This whole game has been inspired by a vscause video I watched 2 months ago, and the next thing I'm going to work on in the game is multiplayer. And when I get this working, I really want to play a match against him to cement myself as the true genius of Super Noughts and Crosses. So in the comments, please tag him and hopefully he will see this. But anyway, thank you very much for watching my video, and thank you to everyone who's been watching and subscribing over the last 6 months. It's been amazing so far, and I can't wait for what's coming next. If you enjoyed, then please leave a like, and if you want to see more, then a subscription would go a long way. I hope you all have a great day, and I'll see you soon. Bye!